At the end of my Resident Evil 2 retrospective video, I said that RE2 had its own legacy outside of the overall series that's still being celebrated to this day. And I wasn't lying about that because Capcom clearly understood how popular this game was when it launched back in 1998, and how people are still playing and talking about it. Ever since its original release, Capcom has put out multiple Resident Evil spin-off games that have featured reconstructed areas and expanded locations that appeared in the original RE2. It's interesting looking back at these specific games because with these entries, Capcom has pretty much remade the entirety of Resident Evil 2 multiple times, like way before they announced an actual remake. It makes sense because how would you sell a new RE spin-off game? You slap a classic RE2 environment in it, or you base it around RE2. Success! Well, sometimes. With Remake 2 being right around the corner, I thought it'd be a great idea to look through all of these level recreations Capcom has made over the years in their other Resident Evil games. We're going to be going through these games in order of release date, so we'll get to see how they evolved, and in some cases how they devolved with time. This video will contain some light spoilers of the original RE2 and these side games. Nothing too severe. I think you'll be fine watching this if you haven't played the side games. So yeah, let me tell you about every other time Resident Evil 2 was remade. So first up, we have Resident Evil 0. In RE0, you play as two characters, Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen. For most of the game, both characters are trapped in an abandoned Umbrella training facility looking for a way out. After a lot of exploration and puzzle solving, the two come across an underground cable car. At first you might be thinking, oh, they're trying to evoke the imagery of RE2's cable car. What a nice little Easter egg. Once you ride the cable car to its destination, your jaw might hit the floor as you arrive at the exact Umbrella factory that we played through in the end of Resident Evil 2. Your goal is to get the turntable elevator up to your current level and ride it down deeper into the factory. You take the small service elevator into the surveillance room where you find the turntable key. Sadly, there's no appearance from Mr. X, but you are greeted by some friendly hunters wandering around. Once you get the elevator back up, you ride it down, and it's really cool how the camera lingers on Rebecca nervously looking around, almost as if she expects to fight a mutated William Birkin here. Once you reach the bottom level, we see the security room and entrance to the lab featured in RE2. Both of these doors are sealed shut. After checking this area, we're attacked by this game's tyrant prototype. I like this because you expected to fight something like this during the elevator ride, but the game subverts that expectation by having the boss right at the end of this part of the game. It's like a little bait and switch. It's cute. After arriving at the locked down lab, you go another way and explore the unseen parts of the Umbrella factory. This area looks amazing. RE0 has the best pre-rendered backgrounds in the series, so seeing this level recreated was an absolute treat for a hardcore fan like myself. It's interesting to point out that the RE1 remake came out before RE0, and I think it's safe to say that the RE0 we got was pretty much also a remake of a game that never came out. So seeing this area remade in these graphics had a lot of people thinking that RE2 would be the next game to be completely remade after RE1 and RE0. As you know, this didn't happen, but at the time it was safe to assume that it would have happened. This game's RE2 reference is my favorite because it looks amazing, gives us a taste of what RE2 would look like remade, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a quick little walk down memory lane while also introducing a brand new area of RE2's factory that we've never seen before in an RE title. Short, sweet, and tasteful. Good job, RE0. Next up are Resident Evil Outbreak Files 1 and 2. The Outbreak games see you exploring areas in and around Raccoon City, visiting both brand new and familiar locations as a normal group of survivors. Both games have full RE2 themed scenarios, and I think they're both pretty cool. In Outbreak 1, we play through the scenario below Freezing Point, which takes place in the Umbrella lab that we explored in the end of RE2. The scenario starts in the train tunnel that Leon, Claire, and Sherry use to escape the city. This time, our group of survivors have to make their way up through the lab and into the factory, where they can use the turntable train to escape through the city. So basically you're playing the final part of RE2 backwards, working your way up instead of down. Like RE0's throwback, Outbreak sees us explore brand new areas within the Umbrella lab featured in RE2. We start at the train platform and work our way up through the cargo elevator's ventilation system. Once inside the lab, we find that the main duct system leading upwards is blocked off by a giant mutated plant creature, the same one we see in RE2. After creating a batch of V-Jolt, we use it on the plant monster, killing it and granting us access to the higher levels. On the higher levels, we come across a bunch of familiar sights. We can't access some of the rooms because a lot of the facility's doors have been frozen shut due to an Umbrella security system. Going higher, we find the lab's main shaft area and the turntable elevator that we're looking for, but the platform is completely frozen. Once we find the switch that turns off the lab's cooling system, the turntable thaws out, allowing us access to the umbrella factory above. I should mention that if you play this scenario with the character Yoko, you'll have a much easier time getting through the lab because she used to work here and has access to more of the rooms right away, and the survivors you'll be finding will give her powerful weapons in exchange for healing items. Once we get the platform moving and reach the surface, our group of survivors are attacked by an all-new G-virus infected monster. I like how the devs put this creature right at the end as a surprise instead of having us fight it on the elevator. It's awesome actually doing combat in the factory's marshalling yard for the first time ever. Defeating the monster and escaping the factory ends the scenario. To be continued. I think this throwback is also really good because like RE0, it shows another side to an already existing RE2 environment, and although it's not as visually impressive as RE0's factory, it's still very nice to see parts of the Umbrella Lab that we've never seen before. It makes the environment feel more realistic and lived in, like actual people worked in this place. A+, Outbreak, you deserve it. Outbreak File 2 has one of the best throwbacks in its scenario, Desperate Times. This chapter takes place inside the Raccoon City Police Department before the events of RE2. The goal is to find a way out through a secret tunnel hidden under the main hall statue. You explore the police station looking for puzzle pieces that fit into the statue's base. The RPD in this game is very detailed and faithful to the original precinct we played through back in RE2. The somewhat disappointing thing about this RPD is that we don't get to explore the west wing of the police station because it's apparently filled with zombies. I get it, it probably would have taken a lot longer and required more resources to build the entire police station. It's still a really good scenario. There are a few side characters that appeared in RE2 that also show up in this mission, like Marvin Branagh, who gives you your orders, and the reporter Ben, who's still locked up in the RPD holding cells. He's never gonna leave. By the way, I really appreciate the devs adding prisoners to the other cell, but why are they prisoners? Police stations aren't prisons. I guess maybe these guys are about to be transferred to a prison, but I don't know, maybe this is just an error on the developer's part, or I'm just looking too deep into it. The entire basement and underground parking lot are here and very densely detailed. To get one of the puzzle pieces, you have to find the files that Ben hid during the start of the outbreak. Little details like that make me happy. Like one of this game's characters had to go get Ben his findings on the outbreak in order for Leon to get them in the main game. Stuff like that is pretty cool. There is a part in this scenario that I feel is pretty weak as an Easter egg. When you head over to the reception desk and round the corner leading to the west wing, you see a licker crawling on the outside of the window. It doesn't look very good, and there's no real impact to this event either. The thing that made this scene scary in the original RE2 was that it happened so fast and it's pitch black outside the window. You're like, what was that? I remember my friend not even noticing it back when we played together and thinking that I was just seeing things that weren't there. Dude, I know what I saw. In Outbreak, the licker just slowly crawls across the window with a brightly lit background behind it. It is the ultimate case of, ooh, ah, I remember that. It's pretty lame. Also, the Outbreak lickers don't really look good in general. They're too skinny. They're supposed to be buff. Anyway, once you find all the crescent puzzle pieces and open up the statue's hidden tunnel, one of the officers, Rita, crawls through and out into the city. The officer finds a police truck and begins backtracking to the precinct. The scenario ends with a horde of zombies coming at you through the front gate. Once the police truck arrives, you hop in and watch as Marvin stays behind. We see Marvin return to his office, officially kicking off the events of Resident Evil 2. Or 3, because part of that one technically takes place before 2. Ah well, this scenario is awesome. It's got some weak points, but overall the recreation of the police station is great. Fun fact, this particular police station would return in the light gun shooter, Resident Evil The Umbrella Chronicles, during one of its chapters centering on RE3. Speaking of light gun shooters, Resident Evil The Darkside Chronicles has an entire 8-part scenario, which is basically a complete remake of RE2. In this game, you choose to play as either Leon or Claire, and together they both run through the events of RE2 in a more abridged retelling of the game's story. Darkside Chronicles is a weird game for me. I like some of the things they did with this title, but a lot of what happens in this recreation goes against what made RE2 the survival horror classic that it is. Both Claire and Leon are very much action heroes in this game. Claire is over here throwing knives into zombies' heads with pinpoint accuracy and kicking very sturdy-looking doors down with little to no effort. She's not like a bodybuilder, she's just a regular girl. That's why people identified with her in the first place, because she's normal trapped in a crazy situation. I guess the game is a non-canon action shooter, so I can't complain too much. I do want to make a full video on this game at some point, and I'll save my criticisms for that video. I'm pretty sure Darkside Chronicles uses parts of the police station featured in Outbreak too. The main hall and reception desk look pretty similar, but I'm not completely sure if it's the same environment models. Now we finally get to see what the west wing of the RPD would look like remade, and I've got to say, it's pretty impressive. The infamous liquor hallway looks great. In the original game, it was pretty well lit, and you could see every little detail in the hallway. In this game, the hallway is very dark, and the moonlight piercing through the windows does a good job at heightening the tension of the scene. The blood trail also looks very creepy too. My favorite part in this game is when Mr. X finally makes his appearance, slamming down through the ceiling. As soon as you see him, his theme song kicks in and it sounds so good. The visual of this huge ghost-faced man coming straight for you, smacking zombies out of the way like they're nothing, is horrifying in first-person view. It's one of the game's best moments without a doubt. Like I said earlier, this title is pretty much a complete recreation of RE2's events. Every level in that game is featured in this game. You've got the police station, the sewers, the Umbrella Lab, and the epic final battle with powered-up Mr. X and the underground train platform. By the way, speaking of powered-up Mr. X, when he transforms in this game, the characters are fighting him in this gigantic circular lava room. Mr. X falls into the lava and comes out all powered up, but in the original game, he falls into a small vat of lava, and I don't know, the original scene feels way more believable than a giant lava room. Do rooms like this exist in real life? Please let me know down in the comments. This might be more accurate, I'm not actually sure. In the end of the game, you even get Leon, Claire, and Sherry walking out of the tunnel after their escape train explodes, but sadly there's no "it's up to us to take out Umbrella" line. How lame is that? Yeah, this game is okay. Good recreation overall. Everything's here. Gold star for you, Darkside Chronicles. Up next is Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. This game is a squad-based, over-the-shoulder, class character shooter. Some people would call it a mess. I call it a guilty pleasure. In this game, you play as a member of the Umbrella Security Service during the events of Raccoon City's destruction. Your goal is to get to key locations in the city and get rid of evidence of Umbrella's involvement in the viral outbreak. This game covers events in both RE2 and 3, and it sort of does the thing that 0 and Outbreak did, where we explore places we've already been to, but like new areas within those places. For example, we see a lot more of the Umbrella labs this time. The labs in particular are very detailed, with experimental BOWs inside of test tube capsule things. You actually enter the labs a few times throughout the game, and there's a really cool part where you have to get Nemesis back under Umbrella's control by injecting him with a chip that you remove from a sleeping Mr. X tyrant. Obviously, doing this wakes up the tyrant, and you have to desperately run away from him. It's pretty cool. This game has a lot of fan-service-y moments like that. These new locales are great to see, but since this is a 4-player shooter, the rooms are noticeably big. Each player has to be able to fit in the rooms together, and it becomes very apparent later on in the game when you reach the RPD and enter Chief Iron's office. It's like, whoa. This room is really big. His desk is just sitting in the middle of the room instead of being more up against the wall with all of his trophies and stuff. It's still really detailed though, including family photos of Irons, and even the creepy painting behind his desk is here too. The same can be said for the RPD's main hall. It looks really big, and when you get to the main RE2 Umbrella lab, that place is really huge too. This isn't really a problem, it just looks kinda silly based on what we know of the original RE2. Also, the gigantic lava room from Darkside Chronicles is back. I wonder if it'll show up in Remake too, since Capcom likes it so much. A bunch of characters from RE2 and 3 show up as well. You'll go from shootouts with Ada Wong and a sniper boss fight with Nikolai, but the main event in this game is, as a member of Umbrella, part of your mission is to take down Leon Kennedy. This was shown in some of the trailers for the game, and honestly, I thought it was a really weird selling point for this title. The payoff to this event was pretty cool though. The final boss is Leon, but you actually get to choose whether or not you want to fight him or side with him and take on your Umbrella team members instead. There are 2 endings for this battle, but they're both kind of underwhelming. It's just like, we killed Leon, mission complete, or get out of here, you pesky kids. This game is really weird, but it does a good job at capturing the nostalgia of Raccoon City and recreating certain areas within it. I give Operation Raccoon City a B+. Oh yeah, both Operation and Darkside updated Claire's model to have blue shorts, and I don't really like it. I get that blue shorts are more realistic, but I love her weird anime red shorts from the PS1 version. It's BS, I tell ya. You can't just change stuff like that. The last game we'll be talking about today is Umbrella Corps. Be honest with me, how many of you guys even know what this game is? It was announced, released, and then almost completely forgotten about within like its first week of life. It's such a strange spin-off because it's completely a multiplayer shooter. I always thought the RE fanbase preferred either single-player games or games like Outbreak that attempted to introduce the classic RE systems to a multiplayer environment, not like a straight-up cover-based run-and-gun shooter. The game is solidly built and features some pretty good shooting mechanics, but it also feels like it was made in a weekend to cash in on nostalgia with its various throwback maps. Some of these maps are recreations of the outside and inside of the RPD. Now, the lore of this game is that everything that's happening is an Umbrella simulation, but it's not totally clear if it's like a physical recreation or like an MGS-style VR mission. It's pretty bizarre, but it also doesn't really matter either. Anyway, the outside of the police station is pretty cool, featuring the precinct and its surrounding terrain, like the underground walkway where you'd find Zombie Richard. And the Kendo gun shop is right around the corner. You can also head down into a sewer area, but it bears no resemblance to the sewer level in RE2, so that's kinda weird. The inside of the police station is a little more interesting with its post-apocalyptic makeover. Seriously, this place looks like it belongs in either Fallout or Mad Max with its incredibly aged and forgotten look. Not very accurate, but also kinda cool to think about what this place would have looked like if Raccoon City didn't get nuked. And that's pretty much it for Umbrella Corps' RE2 nostalgia. Feels kind of anticlimactic to end with this game. I guess I could throw this one in too. In the first CGI RE film, Resident Evil Degeneration, there's a scene where Claire and Leon are reminiscing about the Raccoon City incident. We get to see a very, very quick flashback of Leon and Claire battling zombies. See those red shorts? Now that's what I'm talking about. At the time of this film's release, I remember being completely blown away by this incredibly quick flashback. Like, that's it, they have to be remaking this game, come on, Capcom. It didn't happen then, but it's finally happening now. It's fun seeing how these recreations started off with only revisiting key areas that expanded on places that we've already seen, to completely remaking or retelling the events of RE2 with completely different game mechanics. The RE0 throwback is still my favorite and the most tasteful in my opinion, taking place well before the events of RE2 and not feeling the need to be over the top with references. It also looks great thanks to the pre-rendered backgrounds. I'm more of a fan of the first few spin-offs that used a specific location rather than the later side games that felt the need to shove the RE2 nostalgia right in your face with forceful fan service moments, or stuff that just doesn't make any sense no matter how cool it was to see. It's really tricky successfully recreating an entire game's events based around a brand new gameplay system or genre. It's best to just keep RE2 within the realm of Resident Evil like RE0 and the Outbreaks did. It looks like Capcom is going to do that again with their upcoming RE2 remake. After replaying all of these games, I feel like I've played through so many original RE2 remakes already. I'm excited to see what Capcom has up their sleeve for updating RE2's story with a more realistic theme and characters. From everything I've seen so far, it seems like Capcom are taking the Resident Evil 1 remake route, basically keeping most of the things the same but introducing modern survival horror game mechanics and new twists on events that we've already experienced in order to shock us all over again. Just one more month, guys. We can make it. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This video was really fun to make. Going back through all these side games on RE0 was both fun and very interesting. My friend Charlie over at the Gaming Brit Show YouTube channel actually gave me the idea for this video, so huge shout out and thanks to him. You should go check out his channel because he has his own Resident Evil video series called Road to the Rocket Launcher. In this series, he explores each of the game's level design in great detail. It's a very fun watch that I highly recommend. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and if you want to support my channel, please check out my Patreon link down in the description box. I offer cool rewards like video previews and access to my Patreon exclusive show called Inside the Sphere. I'd also like to give a shout out to everyone currently supporting me and helping with keeping this channel up and running. I love you guys. You're the best. Anyway, I will talk to you in the next video, and I hope you all have a very nice day. Later. Wait a minute, I knew I was forgetting something. Never mind.